In this video, I'd like to talk about JavaScript as a programming language. Now, the word script is part of JavaScript, and you might think that it does not function like a regular programming language. Well, it does function like a regular programming language. In fact, we've got variables that we can use, there are functions, and of course, we have all of the various programming constructs. So variables can be declared and initialized. Functions are considered to be first-class functions in JavaScript. I'll explain that in a moment. And of course, we have all of the various constructs of programming languages like sequencing, decision-making. That's where we use the if-then structure. And we have iteration. That's where we can loop through or loop over a collection of data. Now, I did say that functions are first-class citizens. And what that means is that we can assign a function to a variable. Also, we can return a function from another function. So in this way, functions in JavaScript are considered first-class functions. Let's talk a little bit more about variables. So variables in JavaScript work like variables in any other function, in any other programming language. Variables are used to store values. That's it. Also, JavaScript natively supports 3 basic types. Now, you may think that because it supports 3 basic types, it's not a full-fledged programming language. But there are variations on these. So the basic ones are, of course, numeric, string, where we use double quotation marks, and objects. Then we have constant variables. Now, the constant variable type was not supported initially. But now, recently, with the last version of ECMAScript, so version 6, they did introduce the const variable type. So now we have a constant variable type that we can use, meaning that once we've declared a const, then the value that's inside of that variable cannot change during the running of the program. Literals work just like any other programming language. They are either numbers, strings, characters. Of course, strings are inside of double quotation marks. And just like any other programming language, literals are used, but they're not assigned to any variable as such. Let's take a look now at a short program in JavaScript. And starting at line 1, we see that we can declare a variable. All this means is that somewhere in memory, an address will be picked, and that address will have a label of x in it. Later on line number 2, we can assign a value to that location. So in this case, on line 1, we declare x. On line 2, we initialize it with the value of 5. On the third line, we've declared and initialized a variable, a string variable, and then we've initialized it to the value of John. Then further down on line number 4, we've declared another variable and initialized it with a different word. Now you notice that there are 2 types of declarations here, var and let. And the difference has to do with scope. We will talk more about it when we get into the demos. So the vars are considered to be globally scoped, whereas the lets are considered to be scoped within the curly braces. And here on line 5, we see the const that I previously mentioned. In this case here, days of the week will be initialized with a value of 7, and it is not supposed to change during the running of the program. So JavaScript may not have all of the power of a programming language like Java or C#, but it does have all of the features of a regular programming language. And as JavaScript developers, this is all we really need to get our jobs done.